Hey everyone, welcome to the show. You are on BROfessor and Friends. Thanks for being here. Hey everybody, BROfessor here. We are live on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and every other place you could possibly be. Thank you for being here. I have with me Tulip.
One and only.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks,
Chris, otherwise known as Tulip. I'm gonna have you introduce yourself right off the bat and tell everybody how you received this illustrious nickname that I don't think I've ever met another Tulip in my life. So you're going to have to give us a story on that.
Yeah. So, I wish it was a little bit more just, pomp and circumstance and all that. But, back when I, lost my head and decided I wanted to take a stock GTJ out on the trail, it was the color of, I guess they call it lapis blue. And back in the day, at least, in the early 2000s, we gave each other nicknames.
Yeah.
And so they were trying, and we were wheeling, and for months they were saying, "Oh, man, we'll call you Barney," and like, "No, that doesn't fit." And then my buddy Brett Burnett out of Arlington, Texas, said, "Chris, your Jeep reminds me of the color of a tulip." And so that stuck. And so we always thought it was hilarious. And I've had it since, 20 years, man. So it's people, the funny story about it though, is that's all that really everybody's known me as is Tulip. And so they, my first name is Chris, but they thought Tulip was my last name for the longest time. I'm like, no, that's not it. So, but everybody calls me Tulip. Before I was doing what they call overlanding now, I guess, or backcountry adventuring. It was called it. I'm from East Texas, and we called it dirt road. So before GPS and all that, I was into it. And I just really fell in love with it, and then my appetite for hardcore rock crawling, just I fell in love with that. So I totally destroyed that Jeep TJ and then moved up to a bigger and better 83 Scrambler on 42s.
Scrambler.
Cocked and locked.
Wow.
Man. It was a, Sunray Engineering axles, 60 up front, Atlas 50, blah, blah, blah. And the list goes on. A lot of money. So,
wow.
Just to beat on it. But that's where I've been for the longest time. And, after I got older, just sort of fell back into the overlanding thing, and always had a passion for it, right? So that's a long-winded answer to how I got the name of Tulip.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Well, for those out there of you who don't know, my last name is not the BROfessor. So just in case you thought that's not it. I don't give out my last name because I don't want people to know it. I don't want anybody come looking me up. But I want to remind everybody that we are live. We can take your comments. We can take your questions. And tonight I'm real excited to talk to you, Tulip. I'm just going to call you Tulip if that's okay. I'm sure that's what you used to be called.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about this because there's a place in Texas that's been on my bucket list for years and years and years, but it's so stinking far away that I've never been down there, down to Big Bend. Okay. And so I want you to here later in the show, I want you to give me some tips and tricks on that area if you can help me out, because I am planning spring break of next year.
Mm-hmm.
I've got onto the national parks site. I've got it down to the day where the sites will open, where I can go on there, because I was going to go Thanksgiving and everything's booked up.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
that's the most popular time.
I was going to go during Christmas and everything's already booked up. So
Yeah,
I know you can book everything 180 days out. So I've got everything. I've got it down to the date. I've got my clock set. I got my
yeah.
alarm set. And before I hit that button, I want to talk to somebody who knows. So I'm excited about that,
Okay.
about going on that. So, and also I've got a great story to tell
Okay.
you about Texas. But
Oh, okay.
I also was telling you before the show started that it's kind of funny this week because here we are. I am talking to the man who represents Texas in
Oh,
overlanding,
oh,
and
really? Okay.
and I scored Dallas Cowboy tickets this week, and I am so excited. I was afraid to call my mom because it was Thanksgiving Day that
Yeah.
I'll be going down there. But my whole life we go to mom's house on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
We eat Thanksgiving lunch, and then we sit down and watch the Cowboys game. I mean, that's
Right.
what we do. It's family tradition. And I thought
Absolutely.
my mom is going to kill me. She's
Yeah.
absolutely going to kill me. I'm not going to be there. They're going to be eating without me. But I called her and I was like, I broke the news to her, and she said, "That's great. I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you got those." And I'm like, "You're the perfect mom. You're the best
Yep.
mom ever." So I'm real excited about that. Super pumped. Super pumped. Now, you're from East Texas. What part of East Texas are you from?
So yeah, I'm from Gilmer, Longview area. So I was born in Longview, and then was raised on a 80-acre farm between Gilmer and Longview. My parents bought it in 1968, and my mother still lives there.
Okay.
So yeah, born and raised there. Went to kindergarten all the way up through high school. So yeah, that's where I'm from, and my wife's from there as well. So and we met
Very
in
cool.
Longview. So we're probably going to be looking at moving back, and that's going to be where the barn dominium forever home's built. So
Okay. Cool.
looking forward to getting back there for sure. It's different way of life. It's a little bit slower speed, but
Yeah. Yeah.
good people, and yeah, nice place to grow up for sure.
That's awesome. Well, just so everybody knows, Tulip lives in the country. He's got a tin roof, and he may cut
Yes.
out every now and then
Yeah.
because parts of Texas hadn't discovered the internet yet.
Yeah, I
He's
know.
right on the edge of it. So now I want to tell you, I went to college in Jacksonville, Texas.
Okay.
Drove back and forth from Texarkana,
Hmm.
same place my dad went. And when my dad went there, was when my mom became pregnant with me.
Ah,
And my dad's a Baptist preacher, and
yeah.
he was pastoring a little church down there, going to seminary, and became pregnant. Now this was back in the early '70s. This was Southwest Conference days when Arkansas and
Hmm.
Texas were heated
Right.
rivals. Okay,
Big
they
time.
just big time rivals. Well,
Oh
here
yeah.
here my parents are from. They're from South Arkansas, born and raised South Arkansas, and my mom becomes pregnant with me, and my granny becomes so afraid that I'm going to be born in Texas. I mean, she just overcome with I'm going to be a Texas baby, and so
All
her
right.
and my papaw in March, April of 1971 drive over 300 miles to get my mom. And
Oh
instead
wow.
of me being born in a hospital in Jacksonville, Texas, I was born in a doctor's office in
Wow.
Gurdon in South Arkansas.
Holy cow.
True story. True story. My granny could not stand the thought of me being born in Texas. And,
Right.
since that happened, I tell that story to everybody. I think it's pretty funny. But since
Nice.
then, Arkansas and Texas really haven't we really haven't been a rivalry. We haven't played each other until
No,
this year.
that's right.
This year,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
starting it all over again, and
That's right.
maybe we'll get that rivalry back up. But
Hope
anyway,
hope
that's
so.
my funny Texas story.
Nice. Nice.
So tell me, how did Texas Overland, how did Lone Star Overland evolve, and what is it, and tell us the reasons behind it.
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, I mean, it's you know, I was doing the whole overlanding thing before it was really called it overlanding, and then got back into it back, oh, I guess just 2012, 2013, and I decided, let- I called a couple of buddies and I said, this is overlanding, like, I'm gonna do some exploring up in Oklahoma because I live in Van Alstyne, and
Mm-hmm.
we're about 30 minutes away from the Oklahoma border. So, you know, I'm 2 hours away from the Ouachita Mountains,
Okay.
the western side up. So if you've heard of
Right.
K Trail,
Oh yeah.
which everybody has,
Yeah.
in that whole area, and then you've got Mena,
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas, and all that. So um, we said, okay, well, hey, let's take off. So we started doing that and went on a couple of trips, and actually went in my Scrambler. I had no top, no doors, and 55 miles an hour top speed. So yeah, that's how it started. But we had conversations, just my buddies and I, like, hey, we need to start doing this more. I said, it's
Mm-hmm.
not, it's different than hardcore rock crawling because um, you don't have to worry about braking all the time. And
Right.
if you know anything about hardcore rock crawling, you're sitting there and it's about the obstacles. It's low and
Right.
slow, and it's
Right.
about the obstacle. But with overlanding, you're constantly moving, and you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing new stuff that's off the beaten trail that normally people don't see. So that really intrigued us all, and that's where it started. It was originally, before Lone Star Overland, it was, everybody was, I guess, getting into it, and all the overlanding stuff was ramping up. Everybody has to give their group a name, right? So I came up
Mm-hmm.
with GTC Expeditions, and that's where Lone Star Overland was truly born. And GTC stood for Got Tulip Crew, and so it just evolved from that. And I said, let's do something a little bit, different on the name. So that's when I changed it to Lone Star Overland.
Okay.
And now, we started with, my big thing is that, okay, I'm in my 50s now. And then I was in my, mid to late 40s. And my thing, and I don't know about you, but um, no drama. Okay. And
Oh yeah.
I'm getting away. I want to unplug. I want to get away with my friends
Mm-hmm.
that are the salt of the earth type of guys that will give their shirt off their back for you.
Right.
And we
Right.
can just sit around, we can tell tall tales, and we can laugh, we can joke, and no drama kind of thing. And so that always had been I guess, the core value of the group. And then, you've got social media that, that sort of kind of has evolved in Instagram. And then I had a couple of buddies that are now buddies, didn't even know them, hit me up and say, hey, man, I want to go out with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Are you sure? Is your rig ready? And because I'm not the one that's going to be, I'm sort of on the right. And what I mean by the right is I'm going, and I don't mind scratching my rig.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to the places that hasn't seen a vehicle for 10 years or more. Okay, I want to
Okay.
get into the deep thicket stuff. So, and that's what's interesting to me. It's but also too, I like the stuff, that's it's not overgrown. I like it all, but it's the stuff that you don't see on a normal uh, caliche road or a dirt road, or a Forest Service road. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I've had folks, they're now actually close friends of mine, now, or have become close friends of mine, hit me up through Facebook. Hey, can we go? And I said, yeah, let's go. Here's what we do. Here's what's expected. And so, that's sort of kind of evolved. We got about uh, 10, 10 friends. I mean, 10 of us are friends, or even more. A core group that we go out, and we go out. We 4 big trips a year.
Okay.
But then a lot of scouting trips, a lot of that. Maybe it's like
Right.
last minute, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, nothing, let's go. And then we'll go and we'll hit, the hill country, or we'll go up and hit the Ouachita Mountains. And, it could be February, it could be in the dead winter, it could be, in the summer or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we just go when we need to unplug. So that's how Lone Star Overland evolved. Um, and man, I love it. I
That's
love it. I
awesome.
really enjoy it, just unplugging.
That's awesome. I can tell you still have a little bit of that rock crawling in you.
Yeah, a
You
little
like
bit.
you
Yeah,
you like to get out there and push it
yeah,
to the limit a little bit. Of course, the rig that you've got now is definitely one that you can do that in, and we're going to talk about your rig here in just a minute. But I like that you put it out there to everybody beforehand. This is what we do. So that way people aren't surprised when they go on a route, because overlanding encompasses so many different areas. Some people just like to camp, and some people like to wheel, and some people like to mountain bike, and it encompasses so many different things.
Right.
But you don't want to take somebody out there and they're like, oh man, my rig's a 2022 and it don't have no scratches on it, and here you are taking me down a road that hadn't been down in 10 years. That's good that you don't have any surprises. I like that very much. I did see that y'all did some trails up in the Ozarks. Here a while back. I know that's probably a great spot to get some scratches. Most of my scratches came from there, I'm pretty sure. So it's funny when you talk to people out west and they're like, man, why do you have limb risers, or why do you have so many scratches on your vehicle? Well, come to Arkansas and I'll show you why, because that's exactly right.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I get that question all the time. What are those on your rig? What's up? What are those cables? And I'm like, those are limb risers, man. You need them when you're in a thicket, when you're on a trail that's got limbs that are literally covering the entire trail, and you're sitting there just going through, and they're lifting up over the top of your rig.
Yeah,
you're like going, I love these.
Yeah, they definitely work in the wintertime, not so much, but when all the leaves get on and all the limbs get heavy, you are definitely wanting to set of those. Well, I want to talk about your rig, but first of all, we're going to pause for station identification.
Hey guys, it's Chris from More Expo.
Aaron with Switchback Outdoor Safe. I know from Rhino Belt Rod and Custom.
Hey,
Jeff with Bad Act Adventure Co. Where am I from Overland Pioneer?
I'm Chef West.
Hey,
it's Adam at Step 22 Gear.
Jordan from Anytime Overland.
I'm Bruiser.
Walker from Autotronics in West Virginia.
Hey, this is Aaron from Artemis.
Hey, I'm Tyler with Yoda Adventure.
And you're watching.
And you're listening and watching.
You're listening to.
You're watching
the BROfessor.
BROfessor
and Friends.
BROfessor and Friends.
BROfessor and Friends.
BROfessor and Friends.
BROfessor and Friends.
Enjoy.
That's always fun, and I want to thank everybody who comes on gets in front of my camera and makes a fool out of themselves and does that for me. I appreciate you. They're like, man, you made me look like an idiot. And I told them, I said, well, you did a good enough job of that yourself. I didn't have to edit it a whole lot. But anyway, talking about your rig, tell us about the rig that you've got now. And I've been seeing that you've been doing a lot of upgrades to it lately, putting some LEDs and stuff on there. So tell us what you got and how you've outfitted it for what you do.
Yeah, so my rig's a 97 Toyota Land Cruiser 40th anniversary edition. So this is my third one. I started off, I guess my first real overlanding rig was a 91, or actually a 92 Toyota Land Cruiser that I passed down to a buddy of mine, Derek. And then I graduated up to a 95 Toyota Land Cruiser, and that's had a lot of the same parts that you see now on my 97. So it was white. This 97 came along, and it had 168,000 miles, and that was just like, oh man, unheard of on a rig that old. So that's why I called it. That's why I called it the Unicorn. And my buddy Mike Frisbee down at Frisbee Automotive in Waxahachie, he said, "Man, let's go for a ride in it." And I said, "I want you to see how tight this thing is for, a 97." So we took a ride in it, and I'm like, "Holy cow, man, this is totally different than my 95." My 95 had 350 something thousand miles on it. I'd done a lot of work to it, but it was a little long in the tooth, but still a really good rig. But I'm like, man, I've got to have this rig. So ended up buying it from him, and it sat for a little bit, and then I just started converting stuff over to it. And so I guess how it sits now, it's on 37 Goodyear. I guess I'm trying to think Kevlar MTRs, and I went through all the axles, locker actuators, everything. I've got chromo axle shafts. I mean, everything's been gone through underneath it. New, so it's got a Slee off-road lift, 4-inch. Oh geez, it's got pretty much everything you can put on it from Slee. Slee's just got it figured out. No, Slee's out of Golden, Colorado. Rear swing out tire carrier, ARB front bumper, ARB drawers, and then recently added the I guess what is that, easy slide from Clearview, and I've got a Dometic 75 fridge, so that helps. That thing's huge.
Yeah.
So just trying to get it more organized. I've got oh geez,
I can't remember. Do you have a rooftop tent on it? Do you have a tent on it?
I did. I still have a rooftop tent. I just haven't put it on this rig.
Okay.
Yeah, I went through and added. I mean, dual batteries. I've got. I've had a lot of upgrades in regards to the cooling system. Electric cooling fan, factory OEM. This I'm all. One thing about Toyota is don't put just aftermarket crap or Chinese made stuff on it. Go with OEM, and trust me, you'll thank me later. But so I've always do that, and got a lot of wiring upgrades in regards to for accessories, and that's I can do my own wiring, but I let the masters down there at Frisbee Auto do that, and
I'm
they really
right there with you.
So
that can be your worst nightmare.
Absolutely, right?
It can.
Absolutely. So I've got to went ahead and put low gears in the transfer case. So I've got that thing is built, and it's tough. It's heavy. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, it went a stock Land Cruiser off the boat from Japan was 5,500 pounds dry. Okay, so now I'm probably pushing close to 8,000 pounds, maybe. I've got a lot of gear on it, but there's stuff I've added. I carry cooler on the back for just ice, drinking ice, and stuff like that. But I built a rack to hold my propane because I didn't want to take the Coleman bottles with me and just had either throw them away, try to refill them. I wanted an aluminum tank. So you'll see on the back in some pictures if you follow my Instagram feed. That I built all that. So I adapted a power tank mount and then put a 6-gallon propane tank in it. And it stays locked. I've got a lot of quick pitch gear on it. I got the 270-degree awning. So that's man, you can hang from the bars on it. It's so heavy.
Sure can.
And then I've got the Quick and Sweet, obviously, that's on it. Your Max Tracks. And then, storage boxes up top, which are the military medical cases, the metal ones. So I use that for my storage and stuff like that. So trying to get more organized. I'm all about, hey, let's throw stuff in the rig and go. And the longer I'm doing it, the disorganization has got to come to an end. So I'm getting ready.
I'm with you.
I'm getting ready to add even more drawers in it because I don't run the second row seats. I don't run them. So I'm going to build some type of storage solution in that myself here in the coming weeks. So
that's awesome.
There you go.
That's probably one of the best things I've ever done. It's just me, my wife, and my dog. Do you normally go out by yourself, or do you take family with you, or what?
Well, I try to take Crystal, my wife, with me as much as I can. She travels a lot as a nursing informaticist, so she's gone, and she doesn't. Sometimes she might leave on a Monday and they go back to a Friday, so that makes it hard. But lucky thing is now she's got her 200 series Land Cruiser, and she's got new wheels and tires and some beefy stuff. So we're getting ready to outfit her rig, put a roof rack on it. So awesome. She might run out with us some if she can't. Cool. Normally, if she doesn't meet us or go with me, she'll meet us out, when she can. Yeah.
Well, I normally have just my wife and my bulldog, Bruiser.
So you have an English, right?
English bulldog, yeah.
So
he's the best traveling dog ever. He loves to travel.
So we've had three. So I've got two English and a Frenchie.
Oh, wow.
They're great. You know English, being an owner in English, they're temperamental at times, but then they're stubborn, but they're the best dogs, man.
They
They're
really
great travel
are.
dogs.
They really are. But when COVID hit and everything shut down last March, I had 2.5 weeks at home. So that's the thing, that very first thing that I did was did a rear seat delete. So I took out my rear seats out of my FJ. I have an FJ Cruiser, so my vehicle's pretty small. So I have to cube that thing out perfectly, especially when my wife goes, because she like triples the amount of stuff that we take. But it's so funny because I'm going up to an event in Springfield, Missouri, leaving out tomorrow afternoon. And I've got everything packed in my vehicle right now, and it's unbelievable. It's just me going by myself, how much room I have. I mean, I could take so much more stuff, but I'm just going to enjoy the space. I mean, I may be able to sleep in there. I mean, it's unbelievable how much space I've got.
Absolutely.
So when I did that rear seat delete, it added so much space. You cannot believe how much room those back seats take up. It is unbelievable. And so I just built a platform that came up to the back of my seats, and I've got all that as storage, and it worked out so good for us. Probably one of the best things I've ever done. Yeah,
I'm essentially going to probably do the same thing here in the coming weeks. I did something like that back when I had my 2014 Tacoma. So I did the same thing too. I did a rear seat delete on that, and then made some decisions. I'm like, what do I want to stick with, my Tacoma, or do I want to go with my Land Cruiser? And the Land Cruiser, hands down, every time me, that is, some people will say, oh no, it's the Tacoma is the quintessential. No, I'm telling you, it's the Land Cruiser 80 series. It is. I mean, yeah, you're an FJ guy, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it is. I mean, that's the 80 series Land Cruiser, man. Was the last to me. The last real Land Cruiser.
We've got two FJs. And if somebody came along with, a good 80 series with low miles on it that wanted to trade for one of them, I'd have to do it. I mean, I just have to do it, because that is to me, my favorite vehicle of all time. If I could get one, and I'm going to be searching when I'll be able to afford one, as a 70 series. I love the 70 series, but they don't sell them here. You have to import them or whatever. But here in the United States, the best vehicle for overlanding, I think, in the history of all this off-road stuff, has got to be the 80 series. It's triple locked, plenty of room, nice and heavy, can go anywhere. I think it's the best vehicle. It's proven itself over and over and over again. And you have to work on them a little less than a Land Rover. So, it beats a Land Rover. So if my Re-Rover guys are out there listening, I said it. That's right. I said it.
Oh, Lord. Oh, you got, oh, my goodness. Artemis is going to be hitting you, buddy. He's going to be
I know. All the Camel Trophy guys are rolling over in their grave right now, but that's okay. But to change the subject a little bit, Bats Off-Road wanted to know about the pickles that you posted. He said, I want to know about the recipe. How does his mom make those pickles?
So truth be told, she got this recipe from a friend of hers, and I mean, she's got so many cool recipes. It's crazy. I can't even list them all on two hands, I should say. So she got them. She had that recipe from a friend, and if I'm trying to think, I can get you the recipe if you like. I'm sure I can sweet talk her and get it for you.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So I think, as I understand it, she obviously not salt baths, but soaks them in salt water a little bit to get them crisp, and then then she does all sorts of stuff with them. Puts a lot of garlic and a lot of red pepper. That's where you're going to get your back in. So, like I say in my post on Instagram, there you can really get that crispness of the pickle, but then you get a heavy garlic front end, which I like garlic. I put steak everything. So, but then I like also spice as well. So you can really get it's a nice finish with the spice. So It's really good. So that big jar that she had at the house that I posted on Instagram, I talked her out of sending me home with a quart jar of them. So she took pity awesome. on on her oldest son and said, "Okay, I'll give you some pickles." And then
I love it. I love it. Well,
she said, "Now go home and leave me alone."
I'm going to share my latest life hack. This is my latest life hack.
All
Everybody
right.
out there, it's world premiere life hack from the BROfessor. When you eat all the pickles and you have that amazing juice left, go to the store, get you some fresh green beans.
Yep.
And put down in that, and within 2 weeks, you will have some of the crispiest, awesomest pickled green beans ever. They are so good. I promise you.
That's right.
You will not regret it.
That's right.
You heard it here. You heard it here.
Now,
I got some in the fridge right now. They're amazing.
There you go. There you go. Do you like
my wife and I are pickle people. We buy pickles everywhere we go.
Yeah.
We love the hot and spicy pickles, and we save that juice and put green beans in there when we're done, and we always have something to do, when the pickles are gone. So it's
nice.
It's awesome. Bat said, are they canned? Are they actually
not
canned? They're not canned. You just put the lid on.
Yeah, I believe that they might be, if I remember correctly. Geez, man, I slept since then. I'd have to talk to the boss. The other boss,
I understand.
The main boss is in the living room right now. So, but my mom, I'll talk her out of the recipe, and I bet you I can get that for you.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to share that to the listeners because, one of the things that we love to talk about on here is food. Because I consider myself an outdoor chef. Cooking is my favorite thing to do. I work with people every single day. And so when I get out and I go places, my main objective is to get away from people. And so when I do that, I love to whoop something up, cook, sit around the fire, just sit around, have a view, and just relax and unwind and let it all go. So, are you a cook, or is your wife the cook? Who's the cook out at home?
Man, I'll be honest with you. When she lets me in the kitchen, I like to cook, but I don't know. She's the cook in the family, but I tell you what, she could take a Splenda packet, a can of tuna, and I don't know, something else, and make a 5-course meal. I've never known anything.
Probably some of those hot pickles.
Absolutely. So she's a great cook, and we'll sit there, and she won't follow a recipe. She'll just, that looks good. And then she'll whip up something. It's amazing. So, but I do like to cook. I mean, cast iron. Speaking of cooking, cast iron, I'm a huge cast iron guy. My mom has she has got a full set and then some at home, and I got the bug too, right? So
I got it too. I've got
Dutch
it too.
oven stuff is my thing. I got a recipe from her, which is the most simple thing. Is called we call her Mo. That's what the grandkids call her, and sort of kind of her. I mean, my brother and I, we've ended up calling her Mo as well. But it's Mo's bean and meat stew, and it's something that I cook on the trail, and all the guys really like it. Everybody seems to like it. That with some warm French bread and stuff, man, it's awesome. And then I'll whip up a Dutch oven pineapple upside down cake. And, man, you can't go wrong with that. You cannot go wrong.
I'm you start talking cast iron, you're talking my language. I mean,
there you go.
when we don't go out into the woods, we go to flea markets, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for old cast iron. I love refinishing it. I've got so many pieces, and I've had to slap my wife around a couple times because she says you've got too many, and I said there's no such thing as having too much cast iron. So
that's right.
I've even got a couple of my buddies that have gotten in trouble with their wives because now they're buying cast iron, and I proved to them it's the best way to cook. It is by far the best way to cook. And so I love hanging out around people that can cook to learn new ways. About a month ago, I was able to hang out with one of my buddies who's a Cajun chef down in Southeast Texas. He has a restaurant down there. And of course, he cooked everything in a gigantic pot. And, that was Jonathan. Jonathan's on here. Yep. There we go. And Jonathan's on here. He was there, so he got to taste all this cooking. But, I mean, he just started putting everything in this pot with a boat paddle. And I said, I'm probably going to get on your nerves because I'm going to follow you everywhere you go because I want to know what you're doing and how you're doing it because I like to learn new ways to do things. And I just love that. And it was a cast iron pot, of course. But that's awesome. So when y'all go out, is that normally your normal routine for eating? Do you do fast meals, quick meals, or do you all take the time to do big meals?
Oh, we take time to do big meals. There's, I wish I could say I was I think I can hold my own in the kitchen or even at camp. But I've got some, like I was saying earlier, some friends that were just new to the group, Buddy Israel and Cena, that joined the group. Man, I tell you, they can. Those fellas can cook, man, and they're always loaded to the hilt. Steak and chimichurri sauce, which, truth be told, his wife makes chimichurri sauce, and she's just, oh my goodness. So it's always just there's too much food to go around every time we go out. Always, and
that's cool. I love that.
Yeah, we always do it. And I think even I try to do it at least one run a year. I call the cast iron run, and the rule is that you have to cook in cast iron for every meal. Don't bring out any kind of stainless pot, anything. It's cast iron. If not, then you get a ration of crap from everybody. So that's I always like to do that.
I love it. Probably one of the favorite trips I've ever been on. We had a Dutch oven cooking competition. It was way up in the Ozarks, on the top of a mountain, and it was the week of Christmas. It was December the 27th. I'll never forget. It was about 4 or 5 years ago. And we get up there, and ice storm hit. It snowed on us. It got down in the 20s, and we had the best time getting out there and cooking everything. We made a humongous bonfire, and everybody put their Dutch ovens around the fire, and we had a big buffet. And that was probably one of my most favorite memorable times, because that's where a lot of your memories are made is at home around the table, and out when you're camping, around the fire when you're eating. So I love a long, good meal.
Yeah, we I had a coach. Speaking of cold, we had a run back in February several years ago, and I had told the guys, I said, "Hey, look, it's going to be in the 20s when we're there at night, so bring your cold weather gear." And sure enough, some fellas showed up and just didn't have the right gear, and I'm sleeping in a rooftop tent. I'm in my 0-degree bag. I'm warm. I'm toasty, and you got guys that are close to hyperthermic. They're having to get in their rigs and start their rigs. I'm like, what the heck? But it's stuff like that. That you have some of the most memorable trips and runs.
You're
and
right.
It's a good learning exercise, right?
You're right.
So been through. I guess another time was when we actually had a run in a tornado, like came within a mile of us. It was crazy. Had water coming through the tent. It was, oh my gosh, man! I can't count how many times that I've had experiences like that, and you just learn from it.
You're right.
It's fun.
You're right. One of the very first times me and my wife went out, it was so many years ago, and we had bought this thing called a tent cot, and it was a tent that's made onto a cot.
Right,
and we thought we were living high, because we weren't having to sleep on the ground like we had to do years before. But we were up on the Big Piney up in the Ozarks, and it was the first time I had ever encountered freezing fog. And there was fog coming down the river, but it got down to I think it was 18 degrees. And so even with that thing, and everybody's tent did it, it came on the inside of your tent and froze on the inside of your tent.
Oh, wow.
And then it thawed out from the body heat, so it started dripping on you. It was miserable. And my wife looked at me and she said, if we're going to keep doing this, we're going to upgrade a lot of things. And I was like, hey, buying gear, I can do that. I'll work all the overtime you want so we can buy gear. And I did. And she came home and ordered a whole bunch of stuff after that. And that was a good thing for me. So that was a great, memorable trip. She talks about that trip all the time. It's just the adverse conditions. You never know what you're going to get into. So
that's right.
That's just part of it. So I want to talk about Texas.
Okay.
When people think about overlanding or planning a trip, Texas really doesn't come to the top of a lot of people's lists. No.
No.
And that's I think it's overshadowed because of number one, the heat in the summer. Number two, probably it's just there's a lot of places out there that aren't well known. So tell
That's
us
right.
tell us what we can experience in Texas, what we could look forward to.
Well, the thing about Texas is what everybody has to remember, and when folks move to Texas, you got to remember Texas is about 98 to 99% privately owned. So all you've got essentially, you've got this small little piece that you might be able to do stuff with, but then a lot of it's a private landowner or state parks. So you're
Right.
going to stay at a lot of state parks. And then you got, Texas has Big Bend, which ironically, when we get into that, I have never been to Big Bend either. I'm trying to get there too. And hopefully I'm going to get to go here soon. But that's the thing about Texas is even though that there's not, a lot of what I would call WMA, wildlife
Mhm.
management area. You still
Right.
got your national forest and natural recreation areas too.
Okay.
There's still stuff to do in Texas. So I'm up in Van Alstyne. So for everybody or anybody that doesn't know where Van Alstyne is, it's literally 15 minutes north of McKinney and 15 minutes south of Sherman. So I'm about 30 to 45 minutes away from the border of Oklahoma. So you've got all sorts of stuff like, for instance, old bridges. If you like old bridges, that's the thing that I just think is cool. You got these old iron bridges that are cool that they don't make anymore. That they're basically getting rid of them, all the time. They
Right.
just had a big, huge bridge over Highway 78 that crosses the Red River that was demolished because it got damaged. But it's stuff like that. Going and seeing stuff even on old back roads that you may never see. Old wooden bridges, just old barns, all different kinds of stuff. So there's definitely stuff to do in Texas. There's the hill country down, just northwest of Austin and Atlanta. There's there's in all that whole hill country area. Then
Is
you've
there
got West
off-roading?
Texas.
Is there off back roads in the hill country that you
Oh
can
yeah,
go to?
absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
you'll there's stuff if just what I would say just do your homework. Google, get on Facebook pages like obviously mine, Lone Star Overland, but then there's Texas Overland. One of the guys over at Texas Overland, Laud Maroney.
Oh, I love Laud. I've had him on the show before.
Laud's a smart guy, and
He's big on OnX off-road. He'll tell you to get on OnX and look on there to get some roads.
Right. He's used maps, maps.me and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I use scenic maps, but then if you were to look inside my rig, you'd think it's like the spatial cockpit. Okay, because I'm
Mine too.
I'm running a big iPad Pro that looks straight down on the map, but then I've got a smaller iPad that's more of a contour 3D type of look, and then I run a real GPS. I mean, a real one, not an iPad with gear that you put stuff. I'm talking a real GPS. So I would say do your homework.
Right.
And get on forums and down. And I know Laud is just, that dude is a master of finding stuff.
Yep.
There's files to be put out there. I've put stuff out there called the Red River Loop. And that takes you across some really cool stuff all over the Red River. It just basically loops you back. It's a full day trip. So there's stuff to be done. There's stuff like there's the Hill Country route. It starts. You can start. From Fort Worth and tie it into a lot of things. You can go to the Regency Suspension Bridge. That's the last suspension bridge in the state of Texas. Really, really cool. They just opened it back up after some guys did some damage to it. So there's a lot of cool things to see in Texas for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just do your homework.
Definitely. And my wife and I, we love to kayak, and I have seen so many videos. Of guys kayaking the Rio Grande. A lot of beautiful places down there that has a lot of historical significance down there with the petroglyphs and different things like that you can see. a lot of really good rivers down in South Texas. It's very, very cool place. Also, we have beach camped. So you can beach camp down there. We've been to Bolivar Peninsula, which is just north of, I can't remember. The city got flooded. Never can remember the name. And then you've got North and South Padre, where you can go down there and camp on the beach too. And I know a lot of my friends have done that. So my wife and I are probably going to plan a trip down there because she likes the beach and I like to camp, and that's where we can come together as one. And enjoy that together. The only thing I don't like about beach camping is the 40-mile-an-hour winds that you have to deal with most of the time. But plan on that. But yeah, there's a lot to do down there, and a lot of things to see. I love the bridges. I've done the covered bridges tour up in Ohio is a really cool place. A lot of historical value in a lot of that. A lot of those things. So. Just really neat places to go, different things to see. Well, that's awesome. That's good. That's good information. I've never been to the hill country. My boss has ridden motorcycles out there, and I think he's going out there. That's a big motorcycle place. Motorcycles love the hill country.
Yes, they do.
And so he's wanting to go out there again this fall. But
come down here. We'll show you around. I'll give you the guided tour.
That's awesome. Well, we may come down there. I've got a good friend. I told you I've got cowboy tickets the week of Thanksgiving, so he has invited us to stay in his home. He was a security guard for the Texas Rangers and for the Texas Motor Speedway. So
cool.
I made contact with him through riding motorcycles, and he said, "Come on down, and you can do whatever." And so yeah, I'd love to come down there and meet you. I may get with you and hook up. I'd like to see this 80 series. I'm always looking for a good 80 series to check out.
They've the thing about 80 series too is that they've gone up a lot here and recently. They spiked. So the thing
FJ's
about 80
the same way.
So I would say if you're going to get one, me personally, I like the 93 to 97, but specifically the 95 and up. So that's the ones I look for. Not all of them came triple locked. Not some had no lockers. Even the 40th anniversary edition, not every one of them had lockers. So just do your homework. Make sure the maintenance is done. So yeah, he's saying Bats is saying that wind is no joke down at Padre. That's what I've heard. So, but do your homework on the 80 series. There's actually, you can go on SLE's website, and there's a newbie 101 checklist, and that's what they look for. He's Christo knows his stuff. He's forgotten more about 80 series than most people know. So smart.
Yeah, guy. I've got a friend the same way, Jason Harris. You may have heard of him. Ozark Overland Outfitters.
Yeah,
man, let me tell you, he is the 80 series guru in these parts, and it's good to know those people that you can trust, because I treat my vehicle like a child. It's in fact probably better than my children, because you put so much time and effort and love into it, and you don't want to just trust it with anybody. And it's great to have these people that you can trust your vehicles to. Bats wants to know what's your favorite place to go outside of Texas.
Outside of Texas, well, I would have told you, up till about, I guess maybe 5 months ago, I would have said Oklahoma, because one, that's where I spend most of my time. It's so close. And I would have said southeastern Oklahoma, Hockatown and up above that, and Mena in that area. But I would say, man, I fell in love with Ozarks when I was up there. And honestly, you spoke about Jason. I was actually camped with Jason and ran a lot of trails with him the first time I went up there. And I don't know if you know a guy by the name of Nolan Grogan. He's out of Mississippi. No, he was I met Nolan when he was. There you go, man. So I know that grumpy old man.
Yeah, I've camped with him.
Face, right? Yeah. So he was a rock crawler before the Overland stuff, and he just got tired of it. And plus, there's not really a whole lot of rock crawling in Mississippi. So I showed him around the hill country back in March, and he said, "Man, just let me know, when you want to, come to Mississippi or something like that." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, it's your turn. You pick the spot, we'll go." And he put a small group together, and Jason joined us, and I think he had some other stuff. He had like one other event going on that weekend, so he couldn't stay with us the whole time. So Jason's a good guy. I really like Jason a lot. He knows his stuff about Toyos, that's for sure.
He does.
That's when I fell in love with Ozarks, man. Was that weekend. Just showed me a lot of cool stuff, and then I liked it so much that about a month later, I took the guys from the LSO group up there, and we spent about 3 days up there, and it was amazing. I love that whole entire area. It just sucks that it's 6 hours away for me to get there.
Yeah, that's true. It's a beautiful place, and you're not the first one that I've talked to that has come to Arkansas and fell in love with the Ozarks. It's a beautiful, very underrated place. In fact, those of us who live here are probably the only ones who knows its value, because in the summertime, when it gets hot, everybody heads to the higher elevations. Well, we don't. To us, those are mountains, but to everybody else, they're not mountains; they're just hills.
Right. Exactly.
But we go to Colorado to escape the heat, and but as far as we are very, very blessed in Arkansas to have the Ouachita's and the Ozarks, and having the Buffalo National River and having all these different places that we can go. It's just a really, really hidden gem, and I love that. Tell me, and you may have already said it, but the theme for the show this season was the best trip ever. So would you consider that your best trip ever, or have you taken one that you have more memorable than that?
I would say that was pretty memorable. That was going to the our cafe was and going going all those trails, and then going back to the Buffalo, going to the NARS, all the water crossings. That was really cool. Really enjoyed that. I was definitely in my top 3. I think more I think about it, and I often forget it because I've only been once, was Ouray. Engineer Pass and all that fun stuff. First time I went with my buddy Mike Frisbee, and he showed me around, and they've been going there for years. So he knew all the trails like the back of their hand, and that was actually had just gone through a major redo build of my rig, and that was sort of kind of the proving grounds in a way for it. So went down Black Bear, and of course, ironically, I'm 6'6", East Texas guy, and I'm scared of heights. Okay, so you put me on Black Bear Pass, and I'm white knuckling it, and my wife, she's not. I swear, she's not scared of heights at all. She's like, "Whoa, yeah, let's go, yeah." So she was totally digging it and looking at me and quit being a baby, and I'm like, okay. So I really enjoyed that trip. Looking forward to getting back. I haven't been able to get back since 2018, but man, if you ever get to go. Definitely, though, respect the locals, because they're already. I mean, it's one guy that can ruin it, and so they're already looking down their nose at you a little bit. But if you show them the proper respect and the trails proper respect, and yes sir and no sir and yes ma'am and no ma'am go a long way. And I agree. So that's probably one of my top ones. It was Ouray, but
that's probably one of the top ones, if not the top one for me too. If you can take away the 800 million side by sides in that area, that'd probably be the best area in the world. But you having to deal with them is just a pain. And I know you said like the locals. The locals voted either this year or the end of last year to not allow the side by sides to ride on the city streets anymore in Silverton. I thought, oh boy. Man, they've had it. They've just had it.
Yeah.
They've been dealing with it all these years, and I don't want that to happen to the rest of us either. So, I know it's got to be super hard living in a tourist town to begin with, and then anything that you add to it is just going to be that much more. But you talk about a place, and I love Arkansas, and I love all these other places. But you talk about a place where there's not a bad spot.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go. You go to Silverton, Ouray, do all those world renowned trails, you won't regret it. It'll be the time of your life, and it's hard not to put anything above that.
Yeah.
Because it's just so beautiful. We've been up there. I've been there 3 times, and the second time we went up there was when they had the record snow, and we were driving through 15-foot walls of snow. It was unbelievable. Wow. And July, that's unheard of. Where I've been born and raised, and I know Texas the same way. Yeah. Now, I want to ask you this while I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
The snow in February. Did you get any of that snow that we got in February?
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How did that go over?
Not so good. I mean, it was crazy, man. Now you talk about that whole like what they call ice again and snow again, where we got power for like 4 or 5 days. Yeah, it was. So yeah, we got affected by it. My mother didn't. Obviously, she was so close to the Louisiana border. She's about an hour away. So, and plus she had a backup generator, but never lost power. However, my brother and I, we live up in Dallas Fort Worth area. We lost power. I lost power on Monday morning at 6:30 and didn't get it back until that Thursday. But I had generators fired up, and we'd have no power for 45 minutes and then had power for 15 minutes. So I'm going to brag on my wife and tell you how cool she is. And you talk about cooking. You were talking about cooking later or earlier. So she would plan out where I'd had the generators running. So I'd have, lights turned on in the kitchen that were plugged up to the extension cords. Well, she'd get all her meal prep done. And then the lights would come up and power would come back on, and she'd go like hell for 15 minutes, and right before the power went off, the meal was ready to go, and I'd had the fireplace going for 4 or 5 days straight. So I mean, it's like date night every night for us. So I had my wireless puck, I had my laptop, and we were sitting there streaming stuff while people were out in, they weren't able to connect to the internet and no power. And we were just having this date night every night. Hell, I took the cruiser out and went and got fuel every other day, and then went to the liquor store and whatever. And we just, it was cool. So, even though it was a little bit hard on some folks, and some folks had a harder time, we just made the best of it. So
that's cool. That's cool. Well, that hit the time that we were having More Expo up in Springfield, Missouri. In fact, there was several thousand overlanders that had come from all these states, and Texas included, up to Springfield to come to More. And thanks, Chris, for sponsoring the show. I got to mention More as much as possible. In fact, I got my More hat on, and I've also got my new More 2022. Put that on your calendar, April 8th to the 10th. He moved it to April because of the snowstorm. But 22 inches came up there, and it was just, and I thought, man, we're going to be lucky if anybody shows up to this. And Friday rolled around, and here come all the vendors. I mean, they were snow covered. They had ice and stuff packed on there, and we were making the biggest mess inside. Everything was melting. But they were coming, and they had the attitude of, we were born for this. This is what we do, And so Saturday came, and people just lined up at the door. I mean, it was awesome to see people that actually use their rigs. We make fun of mall crawlers all the time. I love people that put $30,000 worth of stuff on their vehicle, and it's not seen the first dirt road yet. And it's funny. I comment on some people's posts. They post a picture of the rig, and I'll say, so clean, and they'll say thank you, and I'll think in my mind, I didn't mean it that way. Right. You need to get that thing off road. We have a little saying when we take the FJ out. As soon as we hit the first dirt road, my wife said, she's a happy girl, because this is what she was born to do. This FJ was not meant to run paved roads. It was meant to run off roads. And nice. And so that's what makes her happy. And there you go. Chad's funny. He said, I'm watching the show while hanging out my new 23-0 Outbreak swag. That's awesome. Nice. I saw that they just came out with those. I'm interested in the swags. I think they're pretty neat. I I don't have one, but who knows? Maybe one of these days, because I'm one of those guys that has to have one of everything.
There you go.
So anyway, well, so you have not been to Big Bend.
I have not, man. I've been dying to go. I've been living vicariously through Laud,
Yeah.
and through Nolan. Now, Nolan went. Oh hell, he went. I think back in July. Now he didn't camp out anything. He stayed in the lodge, and I'm telling off on him, so he'll get me later if he's listening to but he doesn't like the heat, which I get it. I mean,
I can't blame him.
But so the best time, talking to Laud and others, the best time to go is around Thanksgiving. But it's the most crowded. I mean, it's great for tents. And then spring break's going to be busy as well. So yeah, I've been trying to get down there. I haven't been able to do it. I had some personal stuff come up with my family. My dad passing away a year and a half ago, and I've been trying to get down there and all that. Life gets in the way, right? So
it does. It does.
But going to try to get down there here soon. But yeah, I know that's the struggle when you stay in the national park, and a lot of stuff's already booked up. And especially with COVID and all this crazy mess, people are getting out and doing. The walls are closing, so they got to get out. So where are they going to go? They're going to hit RV. They're going to jump RVs and go to state parks or go to national parks.
You're right.
And
it's last March when everything hit. We would do our normal weekend stuff, and I have never in my life seen so many people camped in the national forest as when all that hit. And I thought they can't work. All the restaurants are shut down, everything's shut down. Where else are they going to go? And people were going stir crazy, and so that just made sense, but it kind of got on my nerves, but I understood. And hopefully things will calm down and open back up here before too long.
So Bats was asking if best time was to go on Thanksgiving for temps. For temperatures,
For temperatures, that's the perfect time. You cannot go to Big Bend in the summer.
No. I would say
I talked to somebody the other day when I was planning all this, and they said, we went down there the end of June, so it was pretty much the 1st of July, and they said the air conditioner ran constantly. They were staying in a camper, ran constantly in their camper, and their camper never got below 85 degrees. With the air conditioner running, it's too hot. You just can't do it.
Yeah. So
that's what I plan to go. I think it's middle of March is when our spring break hits. So hopefully it won't be too bad. And I'm thinking, with all the stuff that a lot of the RVers go to, I can get to where they can't get to. So hopefully we can get away from them and go see, to go do some of the hikes and different things like that, because there is a ton of stuff to do down there. And it's about I think it's about a 13-hour drive for us from here.
Yeah. It's about
go down
8
through,
to 10 for
through
us.
Dallas. Yeah. That's right. It's about 4 hours from, we're about 4.5 hours from Dallas right here.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be good. We'll have 9 days off, and I think we plan a day and a half to get there, day and a half to get back. We'll have plenty of time to stay.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, go in January and February are not bad either. I mean, that's when, right after Christmas and all the holidays, January and February are pretty good time too, to go down to Big Bend as well, because you're not dealing with the heat, you're not dealing with the spring breakers and stuff like that. So definitely a great place to go. Really is.
Now, Bats, if you didn't hear me say at the beginning when I talked about it, I have looked on all. Now they've got. Here's the thing about Big Bend, they've got about 30 backcountry campsites that you can reserve on National Park Service .gov, but all of them are completely booked for Thanksgiving. They're all completely booked for Christmas as well, but they do have some that are along the river. I think there's 20, maybe 28 campsites that you can get, and it's first come, first serve, and you have to go to the visitor center to get those. So that kind of scares me to drive 13 hours and maybe not get a place to stay. So I'm actually going to try to, that's why I rescheduled We may go down. We may go down to North Padre during Thanksgiving because I think it'll still be warm down there.
Yeah.
For us to go to the beach and just enjoy beach time, and then moved the Big Bend until March. So you can reserve 180 days out. So that hits in about 2 weeks. Is when 180 days from March is. So I'm going to be sitting there. I got my alarm set. As soon as it's clock strikes midnight, I'm going to be booking spots.
There you go.
Anyway, well, we've come to about the end of the show. Man, I appreciate you coming on. This has been so informative, entertaining as well. The internet worked the whole time. You didn't cut out once, and I'm excited about that. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media and all that good stuff.
All right. So all your major social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Lone Star Overland. I'm posting probably twice a day on Instagram and Facebook about just anything from everything Land Cruiser and Overlanding to Moe's pickles, spicy pickles, right?
That's right.
Dutch oven cooking, man. So that's
right.
where you can find me. Hit me up if you got questions. You're running a Land Cruiser. If you got any questions about anything, hit me up, man. I'll be happy to answer. It's
that's awesome.
You learn by either doing it or asking and getting guidance from
that's right.
From fellow overlanders and off-roaders, and that's how you learn, man. Rome one built. Keep in mind, Rome wasn't built in a day. That '97 Land Cruiser.
Neither was a Land Cruiser.
Exactly. That sucker didn't get on 37s and all that gear overnight. Okay,
that's
so
right.
It takes time. You don't have to. This is said before. I'm not the only one that says it. You don't have to have a 97 Land Cruiser totally fitted out on 37s and cocked and locked and ready to rock. You don't. You can go out in just a bone stock and maybe a mild aggressive tire, whatever, and just get out, man. Do your homework. Get involved with folks locally, and get out. That's what it's about, man. Enjoy yourself. Find what makes you happy. It could be whether you want to get pinstripes all day long with your buddies and finding old stuff, or just cruising the backcountry roads and camping at a state park. Whatever it is, hey, who says it's wrong? It's not. It's what you like. So that's what you need to do.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is one of the best communities I've ever seen. People love helping each other, and I couldn't have said it better myself. Just get out there and do what you love to do. That's what it's all about. You don't have to have the best of everything. You don't have to have just anything. Just go. Because I promise you this. You can take this to heart. You can start overlanding today. Buy everything that you think you'll need, and then when you go out, everything's going to change.
Exactly.
And so get out there, and you'll figure out what you need. I promise. And and I guarantee you, Tulip and I could probably compare our setups and everything that we take, and it's probably not anywhere close to each other. Because we're two different guys. He's a big guy and I'm a small guy. I mean, you can tell by the size of him on the screen. He's a big old guy. So it's just one of those things. Everybody's different. You just got to get out there and experience it for yourself. And I promise you, you will live the best life you've ever dreamed of.
Absolutely.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Well, buddy, I appreciate you being on here. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody, stick around. I want to talk to you when we get done. But everybody else who has been here, thank you for joining us. There's 1,000 places you could be, but you decided to be here. And I want to tell you, for the rest of your week, look out for number 1 and don't step in number 2. Have a great week.
See you guys.
Thank you for watching
BROfessor.
BROfessor and Friends.
BROfessor
Sponsored by